I'm Rob Sarney, and you're listening to What the Heck Fintech, where you'll experience and learn that Fintech is Fin Life. Let's get started. Welcome back to Part 2 with Ken Mooney. If you did not hear Part 1, please go back to hear about Ken's unique background, thoughts on blockchain, and how he teaches his fintech class at Suffolk University. Let's get started. So let's focus a little more on the blockchain. You talk a lot about the crypto side. I definitely want to talk about the crypto side with you.
Yeah.
Do you focus at all on non-crypto blockchain also, like the supply chain and all that kind of stuff, or even just moving any kind of data very secure, and the workflows and the smart contracts? And what's your thinking on, and I'd love to hear, I know it's a multi-part question, central bank digital currencies. When is that going to be in the US? When is that going to be like where my wallet, that's all my wallet is?
Yeah, one of the classes that I teach, one of the segments is on non-financial uses of blockchain.
Yep.
And I think students come into my classroom and they're really focused on crypto, right? Because crypto was the really first use case of blockchain, Bitcoin. And I think they're a little surprised when they see how many applications there are out there. And I'm an investor, I'm an angel investor. I've invested in, I don't know how many, 8 or 9 blockchain related companies. And at Chain Reaction, we have monthly meetings where companies will pitch to us. So we see a lot of different applications. So healthcare is one of them, right? We've seen a company that uses blockchain in keeping track of opiate prescriptions, for instance. We've had a number of supply chain types of companies that have come in. We've even seen a recruiting company that uses blockchain. We've seen a company that uses blockchain in voting systems. There's just so many different applications that go beyond finance. And I don't think all the use cases have been figured out yet. Research scientists can use blockchain because remember, it's about data, right? And one of the things about blockchain is it's immutable and it's very secure.
And trackable too, right? So you can see all the steps and handoffs and who handed and it's trustless. I think there's so much. I know crypto put blockchain on the map, but I think it's going to be the other business case use cases, I should say, that's really going to take it to the next level. And I'd love to hear, what's your take on Web3? When do you think that's going to happen? That's going to change the whole internet. And maybe explain it a little bit too for our audience. Web3.
Well, I think, we're the thing about innovation is it's slow. It's about adoption. And I don't think all the use cases have been figured out.
Right.
But it's all about technology being able to do more things and creating layers. When Bitcoin started, it was a payment system. And there weren't a lot of other things you could do with it. And people ultimately decided to hold it because it kept increasing in value. And then you have Ethereum. It's a layer 1 that you can build applications off of it. I think it's an evolving type of thing. There's more utility to it. And I think we're just in the early stages of it, quite honestly.
Right. Yeah. I think blockchain will get big when we stop saying the word blockchain, and it's just part of the infrastructure on how we move data, and no matter what the data is, and like the Oracle ERPs and the SAPs are already blockchain enabled, right? It's out of the box, and so you're already, that's how you move data, and I think that's because blockchain, and I love to hear your take on this. This is my take. Some things in the paper gave blockchain a bad name because it's associated so tightly with crypto, and then you hear all the FTX and all that. And that gets people scared, which slows up the adoption rate. But it's really, that's such super solid technology That's this has to be permeated throughout the ecosystem, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
people equate blockchain and crypto as the same thing. They're
Yeah.
not. But then again, we're talking about fintech, not just about blockchain, right?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So
And
what about AI? What do you think about AI?
oh yeah,
Is it the end all, the be all for everything?
it's yeah, it's going to make things more efficient. I think AI is just we get all wrapped up. We need. I Here's my take on it: that you have to treat AI just like if you are hiring someone. If you hired someone, you wouldn't say, "Hey, go free reign, go in the data, do anything you want." You put the right controls, you put the right checks and balances, you make sure they're trained correctly, right? They're using the right data, they're connected to the right systems, not just going off and grabbing any kind of data that could have bias and cause hallucinations, right? You want them so and you want regulation, you want an oversight, internal policy regulation, I should say, and and make sure you get the right controls in place, just like you would any employee. And make sure you're feeding it the right data for the right cause. I think it's going to help us be quicker, faster, but it's just a tool. It's just a tool to make us more efficient, go through like, terabytes and terabytes of data very quickly, even though that's a challenge even for AI. So I think I think it's a great enabling tool, but we have to handle it. I think let's use it with the fundamentals like we would if we hire somebody to work on that data. Same controls, access appropriate to role, all that good stuff. That's my
Well,
that's my simplistic view of it. I think it'll be a great enabler.
I think I'm glad you used the word tool because I think some people think it's the end all be all. And I think it's an extremely useful tool, but it's not the product itself. It's the application of AI. And I was just thinking in terms of, fintech loves AI,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So fintech, the combination of using fintech with whatever product or services that they offer is very powerful because it can do a lot of things.
Yep.
It can help with staying in compliance. There's nothing worse than being a financial entity and breaching a regulation. It can help with fraud detection. But what I like about it is that it can also help with customer retention or getting closer to a customer. There are a lot of fintech companies like Lemonade is an insurance company that's a fintech, right? And they use a lot of AI. But it helps them get closer to their customer to understand what their needs are. It helps them price their policies. Also, AI is used quite a bit now in terms of lending. You're making these loans, these small business loans, and you're using algorithms and things like that. So AI can help with that in terms of fintech. So it's an extremely useful tool. But I think some people think it's the be all and the end all, and there are concerns about it too, right? There's bias. I can give you a good example of bias.
Mm.
I think it was Goldman. Apple had reached out to Goldman to create a credit card, and they were doing, they were using algorithms and AI to determine credit limits, and there was a bias against women with the exact same credit score. So AI can have bias built into it. It's a very good tool, but it's a little bit of a black box. Sometimes you get the answer and you don't totally understand where the answer came from. So I think we have to be a little careful with it. But, we use it in the classroom. All the students use it. A lot of companies use it. It seems like an unstoppable force at this point.
I think so too. And the whole agentic AI too. I think that's going to take things to the new level. I mean, you probably did. I didn't hear about agentic AI until like January, and then I couldn't get away from it. It seems like any meeting I went to, they're talking about agentic AI.
Well,
What's your take?
you and I are working on a project right now. We're working on, there's a lot going on. I'm sure we'll get to that in the podcast in September
Yeah.
in terms of fintech. And one of those things is working with Suffolk University and a group called Top Contenders on an AI project. Maybe you want to kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's going to be great. And Top Contenders, Mark, is going to be on this podcast too. So it's going to dovetail very nicely. Yeah, I mean, I love going to those events. I love even going to the AI and biotech and health services side because of the data challenges they have and what they're thinking about from a health and from a farmer standpoint. It's mind blowing. And there's always a few fintech people in there too. You always every time I go there, I'll see at least 4 to 5 to 10 fintech people, and there's also these brilliant MDs getting deep into the to the AI too, to try and so they're more efficient to find things and find that one protein or whatever it is. Yeah, so I think it's huge.
So I just remembered I didn't answer one of your questions about central bank digital currency.
Oh yeah. What do you think?
Are you going to grade me down? Are you going to grade me down for that?
Oh yeah,
I didn't
no.
answer the question.
I took a few points off already. Yeah. You'll see it in the rubric.
Well, it was kind of a focal point in some ways in my blockchain class when we talked about cryptocurrency. And of course, I think that there was something called the Hamilton Project between the Fed in Boston and MIT about studying that. But I think what's happened is I think stablecoins have supplanted it for now. Well, China has central bank digital currency, and there's over 100 countries in the world that are studying it. And I don't know how many there are now, maybe there's probably less than a dozen that have implemented it. But central bank digital currency had a lot of traction for a while, but stable coins now, they may be the way forward, without the government having to issue central bank digital currency. So I think that's kind of I'm not hearing that much about it anymore in terms of the United States. It's all about stable coins.
Right. Yeah. It's like 2 years ago, it was all like getting talked about, and then it kind of fizzled out. But the thing I like about both those, it's getting backed by something that has has value. So on the stable coin and on the central bank digital currency, that's what really gets me excited about it. That okay, there's I'm kind of an old school finance. What's the value? What's underneath it? What's backing it? So that's where I think that helps a lot too.
Well, it kind of authenticates it if it's issued by our central bank, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of efficiency that goes with that. But I think people are worried about control. They're worried about the government being able to control what they spend their money on, knowing exactly what's going on, with their finances, and there's that privacy thing. Because that's the thing, we keep breaking through these barriers along the way, but we give up something when we get something.
Yep. Right. Absolutely. Wow. You go to a lot of events. And so what other events? We talked about the Suffolk one with the Designathon. Actually, we didn't even say what it was, but the Designathon that's coming up on September 28th. And that's going to be that's the final one, but it's going on currently right now too. What other events should our audience be aware of that they should go to? That you're attending or speaking or moderating or on a panel or judging, because you do so much.
Well, if they're unlucky enough to have me on a panel, yeah, and we've had a bunch of things at Suffolk University. I was able to get the president of Betterment, which is one of the largest fintech wealth management companies. He flew up from Philadelphia and he spoke not only to my students, but we made it in kind of an event, and he spoke to, a number of classes at Suffolk University. So we have those types of things, at the school. But I also like to go to the Boston Blockchain Association events. I think those are great because they have such a well-developed ecosystem. They have great speakers, so that's something that people should look into. I have my monthly meetings with Chain Reaction Boston, where we invite companies to come in and pitch to accredited investors, and we make investments in those companies. That's a lot of fun. I would invite anyone that listens to this podcast that's an accredited investor that's interested. You can reach out to me. We've got Boston Fintech Week that's coming up in September. The top contenders, the Designathon that you mentioned. You can also find references to that on your LinkedIn and my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I also like to listen to various podcasts. Believe it or not, we're on a podcast, but I like to listen to some of them. And newsletters. There's great newsletters out there, like Castle Island Ventures, for instance, does a weekly one. It's on crypto and blockchain. They're also Boston-based company, and they have a venture fund also, so they invest. CoinDesk, things by CoinDesk. Is a newsletter that I really find interesting because it kind of dovetails fintech and banking together. It's called Financial Brand. That's a really good one, to sign up for. And then, the Wall Street Journal. I still look at the Wall Street Journal because it has specific sections on crypto and fintech and that sort of thing. So it's traditional, but it's got innovation in there too. So I encourage people to do that. The other thing is, join an association. You can join the BBA. There's things that you can join. And, it's an ecosystem. You go, you network, you get invited to pitch events, or you get invited to events with great speakers. There's just so much to do. We're really blessed to be in Boston because there's just a lot of things that are going on, a lot of things you can join. But, the most important thing is get out there and participate somehow.
Yeah, I mean, September is going to be crazy. Anyone in the fintech field, because there's so many great ones happening all September. Was it Startup Week and Boston Blockchain Week is all in the same week on that, starting on the 8th, I think. And you got Boston Fintech Week, that's on the 15th in that week. And then you have AI Week that goes in with dovetails with the Designathon that we talked about, right? So wow, we're all going to be exhausted, but we're going to learn and connect with so many great people in this fintech space and beyond fintech, because all those disciplines come together, I think, in a fintech way, but also in other ways too.
Joining is an important thing, and not just sitting behind your computer. I'm an advisor to Fintech Women USA, and it's a wonderful organization, run by a wonderful woman that founded it, and it's about helping women advance their career in fintech. So I would encourage women that are listening to this podcast to check out Fintech Women USA. It may be something you want to get involved in. They do mentoring, they have programs, they have workshops, they have all sorts of different things. So, I can't emphasize, take action, do things, join things, talk to people, communicate with them. You learn and you can have some fun along the way.
That is so awesome. And to dovetail with what you just said about Fintech Women, I just went to an event. Halt did their own Fintech Women chapter, which is supported by Fintech Women USA. And that was just a great event, right? Just great learning, great students, and Jagathi from Fintech Women was there, obviously. So that was great. That was great. Well, so I think that audience heard. I mean, connect with Ken, follow Ken. He's doing so much, and go to the events Ken are going to. He's either driving them or leading them or talking in them, or he's making them out, or he's attending them. Either one of he's deep, and a professor. So man after my own heart, industry guy moving to professor, which is where I got my roots in there too. That is great. So Ken, I want to thank you so much. What a great talk. You're absolutely fantastic fintech friend of me and this podcast, and I'd love to have you on again sometime, because you are always learning and you're always meeting new people. I love it, Ken. Thank you so much.
Well, it's wonderful to be able to chat about the things that I love to chat about, and I've learned a couple of things here today also. And if people are interested in contacting me or speaking with me, LinkedIn is an easy way to do it. Just link in with me. Just put a little note. Hey, I heard you on the podcast, and, can we chat? And, you could reach out at Chain Reaction Boston, if you'd like, and reach out to me on that. And either one of those things, I'm happy to chat with people, if they're students, if they're learning about the industry, if they're founders, if they're investors, if they're even other professors, I'd love to connect with them and share some information. So thank you again for inviting me. And I look forward to listening to all of your episodes, not just mine, especially.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. And I think I'm going to reach out to you on chain reaction because I'm in an angel group in Worcester called the Wire Group, and that's not focused on fintech. It's broader. But the chain reaction sounds unbelievable. I've heard of it, but I never really. I'm going to do a little research, and I'll be reaching out to you. I love what you guys are doing over there, or I should say, people are doing over there. So,
Well, let's do it, especially. So, thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Thank you for listening to What the Heck Fintech. Make sure you tune into our next episode as we continue to interview fintech leaders and share real-world stories from across the fintech ecosystem so you can fully understand that fintech is fin life.